welcome to the Cornerstone Project. I'm your host, Elizabeth Green, and this podcast is all about helping you raise kids who are rooted in truth, confident in the faith, and ready to engage today's culture with the power of Christ. We're here to equip families to think biblically and live faithfully because strong lives are built on Christ, our cornerstone. So let's get started with today's episode. In today's fast-paced world, have you ever found yourself thinking, isn't church all my kids really need for their spiritual growth? I mean, is there more I really need to do? After all, church's pastors, trained leaders, engaging programs, it seems like they're the ones with the expertise, right? I'll just count on them to do the heavy lifting when it comes to spiritual instruction for my kids. But here's the thing. While church is an amazing partner in our kids' faith journey, it was never meant to carry the full weight of discipleship. That role, it was given to us as parents. So today we're diving into this important question, is church enough for my kids' spiritual growth? And more importantly, what does it look like to step into your role as the primary faith developer in your home? Let's walk through this together. Let's go to the book of Deuteronomy. As God led his people into the promised land, he gave very specific instructions, not to the priests, but to the parents. In Deuteronomy 6, verses 6 and 7, it says, "These commandments that I give you today are to be on your hearts. Impress them on your children. Talk about them when you sit at home and when you walk along the way, when you lie down and when you get up." That's not a once-a-week sermon. That's not a once-a-week drop-off at the church program. That's daily, real-life discipleship. Faith wasn't designed to be compartmentalized. It's meant to show up while we're doing the dishes, carpooling to practice, or tucking kids into bed. And moms and dads, you don't need to be perfect. You just need to be present. Let's talk the numbers. Even if your family is in church every single week, that adds up to maybe 100 hours a year. But your kids are awake for over 8,000 hours annually, and you get the vast majority of those hours. That means your influence outweighs the church's by a factor of almost 80 to 1. Now let's think about school. If your kids are in a school setting, they spend roughly 40 hours a week at school versus the 1 hour week at church. Consider that impact, the impact of secular messages shaping their worldview, 40 hours per week, compared to the 1 hour per week of a biblical worldview from church. Our kids are bombarded with cultural messages that are not neutral. And if we don't disciple them intentionally, something else or someone else will fill the void. The question isn't if they'll be discipled, it's by whom. You have the 99%. What are you doing with it? You've probably heard the phrase, do as I say, not as I do. It's a favorite thing we like to do as parents when we're teaching our kids. We know we need to teach them to do the right thing, even if we're not stepping into that ourselves. But in parenting, especially faith-based parenting, that just doesn't fly. Our kids need to see our faith in action. They need to see us pray. They need to hear us say, I'm sorry, I was wrong. Will you forgive me? They need to watch us wrestle with Scripture and apply it to our lives. We are their closest example of what it looks like to follow Jesus. That's both humbling, but also it's empowering. When my daughter played soccer, the coach would guide her, teach her skills, encourage her, but most of her development came at home. Drills with dad, practice in the yard, repetition, consistency, encouragement. It's a great picture of discipleship. The church equips like a coach, but the practice, it happens at home in the context of our family with mom and dad. In addition, we have to recognize that culture isn't pausing for your child's Sunday church program to weigh in on the issues that they're wrestling with. You know, daily they're bombarded with messages about identity, success, morality. They're everywhere. TikTok, YouTube, lunchroom conversations, ads, curriculum, cartoons. And none of these messages is neutral. Our role is to engage with the messages and values our kids are absorbing and to give them a biblical lens to process with each and every day. Once a week just isn't enough. Now, let's be honest. This is not an easy task. It's sacred. It's weighty. It's ongoing. But here's something I've learned. When you step into this role, your faith grows too. You pray more. You dig into scripture. You admit when you don't know all the answers. You depend on God more deeply than ever before. And in doing that, you model grace and growth for your kids. You don't have to be a Bible scholar. You just have to be willing to look for answers along with your kids. And your role in your kids' lives is vital. Let's zoom out for a moment. You're not just raising kids, you're shaping a legacy. Psalm 78:4 says, "We will tell the next generation the praiseworthy deeds of the Lord, his power, and the wonders he has done." How you interact and shape your kids' beliefs and values, it impacts your own kids. It'll impact their kids and their kids after them. You are a legacy maker. You're impacting your children, your grandchildren, and even to your great-grandchildren. Let that sink in for just a moment. You are a legacy maker. If this all seems pretty big, it is, and it's wonderful. And if you're wondering where to start, you can start small. Consistency is the key. Just start praying with your kids. Pray before bedtime, in the car on the way to school, during meals. Read a verse over breakfast. I love asking, after reading a passage or a verse, what did you learn about God from this passage? Sometimes I'll ask, what did you learn about people, including yourself, from this passage? And just have a discussion about that. Be vulnerable. Admit when you're wrong. Ask for forgiveness. This is so powerful coming from a parent. Play worship music while cleaning the kitchen. Don't aim for perfection. Aim for consistent and authentic interaction. Let your motto be progress over perfection. Here's what I want you to remember today. You are your child's most influential spiritual leader, not the pastor, not the youth group leader, you. The church is here to support you, to cheer you on and equip you, but your child needs more than an hour on Sunday. They need daily glimpses of a real, living relationship with Jesus. That's your role, and it's a beautiful one. So instead of asking, is church going to be enough for my kids' spiritual growth? Isn't that all they really need? Maybe we can shift it and start asking, what kind of faith legacy am I developing, stewarding, and passing on to my children? You've been handed the torch. Pass it on with confidence, joy, and faith. And if you need a little help getting started, head on over to our website. The website is thecornerstoneproject.us. And check out our free family download for the family prayer guide. It'll just get you and your family started praying together. You can also check out the Cornerstone Project curriculum, which is designed to help your family build a biblical foundation in your home. So that's it for today. Thanks for joining me on the Cornerstone Project podcast. Remember, discipleship starts at home, and your investment matters. Let's keep raising kids who are rooted in truth, confident in the faith, and ready to engage the culture with the power of Christ. See you next time.